Hello and welcome to our third episode of coverage on Melbourne Survivor 1. We've managed to extract so far 3 hours out of a 26-minute episode and some additional content, and we're going to extract some more content today. I would expect this is going to be the best content. If you only watch one of these podcasts, this will be the one to watch. We'll get to that in a moment, but just some housekeeping first. Please, if you haven't voted on the end of the season awards, please go and vote. There's only a few days left before we do the official announcement of all the awards at the end of the season when we do the final coverage next week, where I will have the awards and be discussing the production of the season with Liz and the enigmatic Conic. That is next week. But this week is the show you've all been waiting for. I'll bring in the host. She needs no introduction. He is here for the tea party. Welcome, the Queen, Annabel.
Hey, I'm here for the podcast literally no one asked for. Super deep dive on the goss from that hot 26 minutes, but only the first 3 minutes, which were a brief recap.
If anyone can turn this into an hour, it's you, and it will be the most thrilling hour of anyone's pitiful lives. Before we get into it, before I piss off and just let you take over the show, I want to flag just October will be Backyard Survivor 1 month. So if you haven't binged it, if you haven't watched it, start watching Backyard Survivor 1 with all the coverage for Backyard Survivor 1 in the next month. Okay, Annabel, I'm going to depart. And as you introduce the guests, I'll bring them in. I will only be backstage. Farewell all.
Bye, CK. We will miss you. We are super lucky today to have two of the main characters from the first 2 minutes of the episode. I would like to welcome in our backstage guests. We've got two of the Ks. I can't bring them in, CK, so hustle, hustle. Woo! We've got Kath and we've got Kyle. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, introduction as the main character, or one of
Yeah,
Hello.
I mean, collectively, you were only on our screens for about 30 seconds, but you really popped in those 30 seconds, and we just thought we couldn't do 4 hours of coverage on Melbourne Survivor Season 1 without hearing your side of the story.
That's right. We're bringing quality, not quantity.
Yeah. I actually was shocked to see myself as a redhead again. I mean, I have some red in my hair right now, but I was like, oh my God, I was ginger for like 2 years. I forgot about that.
We're in Gingers and Ginger Adjacent only podcast tonight. So I want you to get in the headspace 5.5 years ago when you were at Liz's 21st birthday and she announced this is how she wanted to celebrate. The birthday party dynamic would have brought something a little bit different because presumably you all knew Liz and knew each other somehow. So Kyle, I'll start with you first. Thinking about the people who you already knew, who would you say you were closest with?
Well, I think I was the anomaly in the group. So I was effectively a stranger. Even Liz and I hadn't met each other before. So I was like a last minute ring in. Liz had posted on an Australian Survivor fan group saying like, I'm doing this for my birthday. And I think the post was like asking for challenge ideas. And because we had just done Backyard Season 1, I was like, you should do this one. This challenge works great. When are you having it? And she gave the dates and I just happened to be in Melbourne on those dates. So I was like, I'd be happy to come along and help out. And then 2 days beforehand, I believe, I got like added into the group chat, which was like, you're playing. And I was like, cool. Hey, people, let's go. I didn't know that everybody knew each other.
So you flew in from Perth for a complete stranger's 21st birthday party.
I was already going to be in Melbourne. So the dates just worked out that I was going to be there. So I was like, I'm in town. I'd love to come along.
And that is a bit awkward, isn't it, when you want to host a Survivor-themed 21st birthday party, but you don't have enough people to invite to build a full cast. So maybe going to the Survivor Facebook fan club, you had guys, if you want to fill a room, Kyle is always there and ready to get on a
I'm
plane.
there. You need more people at your party? I got nothing on.
And
Kyle is
very
available for hire.
Yes.
Well, Kath, maybe you've got more to spill then. So who are you closest with going into this? Kyle's got the tea.
I'm ready.
Oh, I
Let's
should have
hear it.
made tea. I've just got water. No, I guess Liz I was closest to. So actually, when I watched the first two podcasts of this earlier today, I saw that they were saying something about how I have like helped out with whatever like no one wants to do in crew and stuff. And that's basically just because like I've done this just because I'm friends with Liz. So Liz and I went to high school together. And I would have been 12 and she would have been 13 when we first became friends. And so we've been friends since then. So it's been 13 years now. And yeah, for her 21st birthday, she was like, oh yeah, I need people to do this. Can you do it? Or something. I can't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it, whatever. I don't know what Survivor is, but I'll do it. Yeah, I think I watched one season before doing it. And yeah, so I knew Rosemary as well, but she didn't end up being on my tribe at the start. And she met Cam through me, actually. There was some event that Cam and I and some other friends that we had, I don't remember what it was, but Liz ended up coming as well, and she met some of them, including Cam, and he seemed down to join, and I was really surprised that he was there, actually. But yeah.
That's cute. Love that. So you wouldn't say then, was there anyone who you had a pre-existing negative or slightly tense relationship with?
No, so actually this is the bit I forgot to actually add in, that I didn't know anyone else at all. So yeah, I think, I guess from watching the previous two podcasts, a bunch of people knew each other or something, but I wasn't really quite set. Like I knew Liz. I knew a bunch of people on crew because a lot of them were also people who went to high school with us. So like Connick went to high school with us, and then a bunch of people who were filming. There was a guy called Zach and a guy called Liam. So yeah, I was like doing confessionals to people that I'd known for ages.
Random guy called Liam wouldn't happen to be Liz's husband, would it? Or is this another random Liam?
Very different Liam. No. Totally didn't make that connection in that second there. But yes, that his name is also Liam.
Well, I was really manifesting some exes on the cast. Were there, to your knowledge, any exes?
Of mine or Liz's? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm not saying of yours or Liz's. Come on, there was like how many of you? 20 of you? Surely someone. We're scouring the Facebook group for guests.
Yeah. I mean, I guess because I didn't know the other people that well, I don't really know. There might have been. I guess like Charlotte. So Liz was dating someone else at that time, and so she knew Charlotte and Ian through him, but like. I don't think it was very long after that they broke up. I don't remember exactly the timing. But yeah, and actually when I was looking through the chat, I noticed that my boyfriend at that time was in the chat who was going to be a backup player, but we never needed a player. So that would have been funny. But yeah, no, that didn't end up happening, but he was in the chat.
Yeah, look, not to intimidate you, Kyle, but Kath has actually come with receipts tonight, including screenshots from the group chat.
Yes. Well, I mentioned that I didn't know anybody on the cast, and I went in fairly assuming that nobody on the cast would know me. But pretty much in the first second when we got to camp, a conversation I had with Toby, he approached me and said, I know that you're a big fan. I'm a big fan too. And I was like, why does he know things about me? And it just kind of like, it really disarmed me. And I was like, I feel so vulnerable to this person right now. But he followed it with, I want to play with people who know this game. And I was like, okay, good. Yes, that that thing.
Was Toby a Kyle Stalker fan?
Maybe. It's possible.
So where did
So
he
he had
Just
so
like,
he had watched Backyard Season 1. So we had released that and he'd seen that. So obviously then one of the guys that hosts it rocks up to play this game. You can assume that guy's a big Survivor fan.
Yeah, I mean, you are kind of a big deal, Kyle. It was maybe thinking that you'd swan in there and no one would recognize a celebrity. You were selling yourself
Right.
short.
Yeah. And look, my cover wasn't very good either. Like I came into this very late, so I didn't have much of a game plan. Including like people often go in and they're gonna lie about what they do. And at the time, I just quit my job. So I used to work at Apple, but I didn't want to say that because then people are all like, Apple, iPhone, tell me this stuff. And I'm like, no. The thing that I was doing at the time was podcasting. I'm like, great, that's my current endeavor. That's where I'm putting all my hours. So like a very early conversation, I think it was with Sophia. And she's like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a podcaster. And she's like, is your podcast on Survivor? And I was like, yeah, it is.
Oh no!
I didn't think this through at all.
I can't believe you didn't come up with a whole backstory for Liz's
I
birthday
know.
party.
I know. Such a rookie. But that kind of like
products.
yeah, I know. I wasn't very good at thinking on the spot. But I felt like it kind of like bonded me and Sophia just on that like brief walk from the meeting picnic table to the cold open pier where we got officially introduced to Liz. So I was like, this is good. You know, she knows that I'm a fan of Survivor now. She said, I don't know Survivor. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, that's fine. You should stick with me. And opposite tribes wasn't to be.
Oh, we love a clueless
Alas.
queen. I'm sorry that you were robbed of that partnership. Well, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, famously, you can form quite intense relationships within a 12-hour period that's all about backstabbing each other. Kath, did you find any soulmates at Liz's 21st?
Soulmates. I honestly didn't know what I was doing at all. I felt like I was just kind of floundering, and I feel like Kyle was the one that I spoke to the most. But even then, it was like I don't know if I'd call Kyle a Survivor soulmate. But no, I think you were the only one. I don't know. I guess it's so long ago now, I can't really remember. But I guess I kind of was in that main alliance for a bit. But I started gunning for Charlotte, but failed. Like really much earlier than everyone else. So they were like, "Oh, why is Kath talking about Charlotte?" And so they voted me out. But yeah, no, I just remember like because Kyle was with Alicia, and then you came up to me like. I don't know, felt like we had some sort of rapport in the game, and you came up to me and were like, oh yeah, we should like, you know, you should join us too. I'm like, oh yeah. And you're like, yeah, she has an idol.
Escandalo.
Yeah. And yeah, after she pulled out the so-called idol, I was like, oh my God, she's been pranking us. Like, I swear she did this on purpose.
Right.
Maybe she didn't. I don't know. I definitely thought that was on purpose, like her just trying to trick people.
Right.
She had a lot of main character energy, Charlotte. It's a pity that she couldn't join us today because I'd love to know what was going on there.
Yeah. So I guess, addressing your question, Annabel, I think for me, like there was just something about Toby, and maybe it was that like initial approach that he had with me of like, I know you're a fan, I'm a fan, I want to play with people who know what they're doing, that I was like, take me with you, keep me with you. And you know, like I don't know, I think he just had an aura that like people were wanting to work with him. You know, it takes a certain kind of person who can get to the end of the game without a vote against them and get majority of the votes at the end. So yeah, I definitely fell into that Toby trap.
Mr. Charisma.
Hmm.
Okay, that's interesting because he did seem to have quite a lot of people who did feel like they were his number one. Is he who you were working with most closely, Kyle?
I think so. Again, I'm so nervous when it begins. So that conversation with Toby, I'm like, all right. He suggested that he's not coming for me, even though he knows I'm a fan. This is good. We like him. We'll work with him. Uh, Charlotte was the one who first approached me and used the A word. Do you want to be in an alliance? And I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. I'm going to be in an alliance. this is perfect. Yes. And it's like, there's 8 people on the tribe. We need more. And Kevin we were kind of like, we had a fairly small space and it's just like a bit of a clearing, some grass and like a few trees. And it's like, what are you to do? So you're just like, shall we just like flit around in the trees? And like, I think we were all just like solo walking around the trees, casually bumping into each other, being like, hey. And yeah, we saw Kevin just sort of doing that. And we're like, Kevin. Like, do you want to be in alliance? Great, we've got 3. Toby, 4. Good. We need a 5th. Kath, you're in. We've got our 5. We're good to go.
We love that. The K's plus Toby. We need to talk about Kevin because while it was really hard to pick up on the 3-4 seconds he appeared in at the start of the episode, in Toby's interview, he really came out as Chaos Kevin, main character, probably top of my list for ORCA of the season, which we'll discuss later. But Toby described Kevin as nuts, no fear. And so I wanted to unpack this a little bit more. Maybe we'll start with you, Kyle, because you were working quite closely with him. Talk to me about Kevin in the game.
Yeah, I think Toby's perspective of Kevin probably comes from their alignment, where Kevin wanted to take out Nathaniel. That was a Kevin target, and that doesn't align with Toby's goals. And so for Toby, Kevin is creating this like problematic energy. Whereas for me, I also wanted to take out Nathaniel. So I'd say Kevin and I were probably more aligned with like what our game trajectory was there. So I didn't experience as much of the chaos Kevin, but I'd say, I mean, this may sound odd that I was like so on the same page as Kevin, and then come final 8, I'm going to flip on him and get him eliminated. But that undoing was a product of the first merge, individual immunity, which he wins. He gets to take 2 people on reward with him, Toby, Charlotte. And I'm like, so I'm 4. I've been swapped to another tribe, so I'm already had that time away from them. And now it's been identified that he's picking those 2. And that also kept them away from camp. So like the first merge camp was like Sans, Kevin, Toby, Charlotte. And it's like, well, I guess I'm making plans now with this other group of people. And then just to, further that that behavior, he gives Toby the necklace. And it's like, right, okay, so if we were saying like Toby and Charlotte 1 and 2, it's like, well, maybe Toby's 1 because you just gave him immunity.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that was next on my list to ask you about. So Kevin really manages to tank his relationship with you right there. Kath, what was your perception of that whole debacle?
Of Kevin and the immunity?
The immunity, the reward, Chaos Kev in general.
Well, I don't really remember like anything from Kevin except for voting for him, which was literally just I think if I'm remembering the things correctly, I'm pretty sure like I didn't know what was going on vote wise, and then as we were walking to tribal council, Nathaniel comes to me and is like Kevin, and then walks off, and I'm like, okay. So I think that's how I ended up voting. But yeah, other than that, I think I was already just sort of out of like, didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, when I saw them like taking him like picking the two people for, the reward, yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that there was already like a super strong alliance for me. I think, I guess because I didn't know much about Survivor, I wasn't really super, knowing what was going on. But when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, why was that like such an easy choice? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think I can be very insightful for this specific thing.
No, Savage Queen, we love it. The only memorable thing about Kevin was voting him out. You heard it here. John has a question, and he wants to know, what food did you both miss out on the reward when Kevin didn't take you?
Was it like Subway or something?
I think it was Subway. Yeah. I think it was lunchtime. They got Subway along with people who had been voted out in the crew, and we had rice and beans at camp.
Oh, that was so toxic of him.
Oh my god!
Just cold rice and beans. Thank you.
Hi, Liz. When I was watching it back, I remember thinking, like, when I was voted out, I got like one of the Subway subs. And I was like, oh, it'd be funny if I came out like eating this just after I've been voted out, because everyone was talking about how hungry they were. But when I watched it back like a couple of days ago, I was like, I look so fucking rude.
We love the petty move. While we're talking about Kevin, let's talk about this double vote, because it seemed like a bit of a mess. So this is the one where you go out as well, Kyle. It's a Kevin Kyle situation, and Kev, I think he was going to get blindsided that vote. So Kevin was always going to go. Kyle, how did you get caught up in all of this?
So I think to explain this one, it maybe pays to like play out a bit of the merge. Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to the merge. Talk us through it.
Yeah. So the merge vote, as identified, Kevin, Toby, Charlotte, they disappear. Kath and I start on the same tribe. We vote together on our first tribe's vote. We get swapped together. And now we're here at the merge and we've got our options. It's like the three people we worked with on our first vote aren't here. And we've now like formed new connections with the blue tribe. And so we were really having this conversation of like, do we flip? But they were pitching Toby. And I was like, I'm not doing Toby. I couldn't possibly do Toby. For me, I was like, I'll do Nathaniel. And they were like, no. And it's like, okay, we're at a crossroads. And I think for me, like, I couldn't get Nathaniel, but Kiralee was a name that no one was really pushing back on. There was defenders for it can't be Nathaniel. I was defending Toby. There was no pushback on Kiralee. And that sort of like made us vote as a previous block. Kath, I think, went for Keegan, which I think was like put forward as well. It's a messy merge.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very last minute hustle to vote against Kiralee. And it's like, we came in with such a majority that felt dangerous, because someone's going to flip, probably me and Kath, but we can't let it be Nathaniel and Kiralee. So let's get them. Then we have the Nicole vote, which I think at that point, Kath makes the flip and I bail out of it, because it's like, it's going between Nicole and Charlotte. And again, I'm thinking like, I've got this 4 and I don't have a reason to go against them, like just yet. So I stick with them to take out Nicole. But at that vote, I get one vote against me, which was Keegan, and I'm like, okay, why is my name coming up? Where's that coming from? Starting to raise alarm bells now. We need to start thinking who's talking about my name. Blessed be, I win immunity the following round. And so it's like, my name has obviously come up, but now I'm immune. So we can see where all the pieces are and make a plan from here. But I get a vote.
Wait, you get a vote
Do
while
you-
you have immunity?
I get a vote. Do you remember this, Kath? Like,
yeah, that was from Alicia, right?
What?
yeah. So I'm wearing the necklace.
Yeah, Liz was like, sorry, who was this? And then Alicia had to reveal.
Oh my God, that's so messy.
So great.
Yeah.
So Alicia
Thing
is
from
told to
Alicia.
go back up and revote because she can't vote for the person with the necklace.
We all get to see that that's
Alicia, what are you doing, girl?
Yeah. So it's there for everyone to see. But what this did for me is it gave me an in with Alicia, who I hadn't been on a tribe with the whole game, but she's just voted for me while I've got the necklace. And so after that tribal, I was like, what happened? And then she was like, I got so confused because everyone said they were voting for you, and I went along with that, even though I won the necklace. And because I think it was a trivia quiz, so it would have happened like at tribal council. So I've won it, and then quick change of plans, new vote. Yeah, and I was like, okay, thank you for telling me. You telling me is like, that protects me, and I will return the favor. If I hear your name, like, I will let you know. Like, I'll look after you. And she was, and that's when she said to me, she's like, I can look after you too, because I found an idol. And I was like, who else have you told?
Okay, what cursed Facebook group did Liz find Alicia in?
Like, who else have you told?
how Alicia got there.
Oh, she's like,
Liz, please tell us.
she's like, no, I haven't told anyone else. And I was like, good, do not tell anyone else. It'll be our secret. And then if I hear your name, you can play it, save yourself. If you hear my name and you want to play it on me, great, you can save me. We've got each other's backs. Great option to have. And when Charlotte wins the necklace, and Charlotte had been the target of the other side, like people in blue. Kath had gone that way. Nathaniel had been wanting to take out Charlotte, but because she's immune, people saw Charlotte and Kevin as like the duo. And so it's like, we need to weaken Charlotte. What about Kevin? And I think it might have been Nathaniel that put Kevin's name out. I don't know who to, like to Kath or Alicia, I'm not sure. But yeah, we just kind of started forming this like oddball group of like, let's take out Kevin, and we're going against that group that I was a part of.
Okay.
So it's like, we've got me, we've got Kath, we've got Alicia. Do we have Ian? Does anyone have Ian? We kind of need Ian to get the majority here. So going into that tribal council, that was the plan. It's like me, Kath, Alicia, Ian. We're going to put 4 votes on Kevin. And what we're hearing from the other side is some people are talking Nathaniel, some people are saying my name, Ian's name is out there. There's a lot of different names. So if we put 4 on one person, we should get at least plurality here.
Yeah. And so that's how Kev goes. Kath, maybe you can answer this. How does Kyle's name end up coming out there as well?
I actually don't know because no one was trying to get
Talking
me
to you. All right.
Or anything. So yeah, I also actually looking through the chat, I found out or remembered
Receipts.
Well, so there was a bit in the chat where I was like, hashtag boycott Melbourne Survivor toilet break, because I, do you remember this, Kyle?
Yeah.
So we had the toilet was like a 10-minute walk away from where we all were playing. And I was the first one to be like, I really need to pee. and no one wanted to go with me. And I was like, okay, well, I just have to go. And so I walked. I was away for like 20 minutes going to the bathroom. I come back literally like 15 minutes later. Liz is like, oh, so a few people want to go to the toilet. Let's all go walk there together and you guys can keep chatting. And I was like, wait, what the hell? I was literally talking about this just before. So I think I also missed out on some chats like around that time just because I wanted to pee. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the scandal. Kyle actually just went out because of Kath's weak bladder.
Yeah. You could have held on and saved me.
I was I mean, I'm pretty sure I was just voting with whatever you guys were voting, but I don't remember those details anymore. Oh my god, this is why I was like, I'm the best person to come on because I don't know if I remember enough. I've rewatched everything.
It is really challenging because as much as we went through this experience, like it was 2018, and we've got purely minutes to revise and to review what actually happened, like what's been captured on video. So
and
sometimes I forget I played a game.
2 seconds of it was recorded, so we're really just going off memory here. And yes, CK, bring up John's comment. This is true. This is misogyny. The toilet break is just entrenching male privilege, and we boycott it. We stand against it. All right, let's rewind. Sorry, we're all over the place today, but let's go right back to your very first tribal together, because this was a messy one as well. This was a 4-4 split vote. What the F? Kyle.
Yeah, so it was actually a 3-3-2.
Oh my god.
I know, right? So how this came to be. So identified previously that we're just like flitting around in the woods, and I find Charlotte, we find Kevin, we find Toby, we find Kath. We've got 5. There are 3 that are like sitting away from us. And so whether it's like actual paranoia or just you need to find a name to throw out there, you need to accuse other people of doing something so you feel justified in voting against them. We see them and it's like, well, those 3 are definitely in alliance, so we need to break that up. And it's just like Nathaniel and Lauren and Carolee sitting there, probably just like they didn't want to flit around in the bushes doing nothing. Like, we'll just sit down and do nothing. So we're like, all right, we'll target one of them. And then we get a bit cute with it, and it's like, all right, 5 on 3, a little too easy, right? Why don't we like shake this up? We're excited. We're playing Survivor. Why don't we split the vote? It's like, there's no need for us to do this. There was talk of like, I think Toby was saying, well, I could get Nathaniel potentially to vote with us as well. So we have like 3 on Lauren, 3 on Carolee in case of an idol. And then we can like revote on one. They're not finding an idol. They're sitting down on the grass.
Literally haven't moved.
Being well
have not moved.
Have not moved.
I'm pretty sure I'm the one who said Carolee as well, which is why they voted me. Because I was just like, oh, I thought she was a little bit annoying. But
right.
Not like, overall, but just like in the 5 minutes I saw her in the Survivor game. Because she started making like a one of those things like with the tennis ball to look like, I don't know, it's called like a hairy Harry or something. She was like
being weird and annoying. Just leave it at that. I understand.
She was like making toys.
She was creating hairy Harrys at camp.
Yeah, Liz. I feel like that's a common theme for me though in Survivor. I'm like, I think that person's like mildly annoying, so let's just vote them. And then people are like, that's stupid. Let's vote Kath instead.
Someone's got to throw the name out there. Someone's got to have it backfire. And I think because we knew that both tribes were going to tribal council and the other tribe would be witness to our tribal. So there was also, again, like just being overly cute with it, where it's like, if we split these votes up, then we don't look like we've got this uniform tribe, which we didn't get to see if that was going to pay dividends like after that vote. Kath and I do get swapped to the other tribe in a minority. And I had that conversation with Keegan where he was like, do you have an alliance over on the other tribe? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I thought I did. And then all those votes were like everywhere. So like whether Keegan was going to buy that or not, it's like there was at least something to approach the new tribe with.
Just shows you can't ever be too cute, Kyle.
That's right.
So that's perfectly leads us on to the next question. So you're leading this podcast, Kyle. The experience is paying off. Did your OG tribe, so Kath and Kyle, you've swapped over now. Was your OG tribe throwing those challenges to keep you guys safe?
What do you think, Kath? Do you think they threw it for us?
I feel like I have a worse memory than every human on the planet. I don't think I remember. I feel like I remember someone being like, "Oh, they might be," but I mean, didn't Toby say in his podcast that they didn't?
Yeah, I think they just sucked at the challenge and didn't need to throw it. Yeah. It was such a like throwaway, like we get our buffs and it's like, oh, look across and see everyone else just with, staying on the same tribe. It's just the two of us. So I was just like, as I was walking away from everyone I knew, was like, if you feel like throwing it, that would be awesome. Thanks, bye. So like whether anyone heard me or what, but just putting it out there, just making sure they're aware that like if we lose, I might be gone. But according to Toby last week, that wasn't such a problem for him if that happened.
I mean, he literally could have lied about it. Do you know what I mean, Toby? It's,
right.
You're still in the game. It's been 5.5 years, but you're still in the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You did it for me, right, Toby?
So has there been, I mean, look, salty queen over here myself. Yes, it's been a long time, but we had a lot of drama at this birthday party. We've got brothers turning on brothers. King Ian seemed pretty mad about his vote out. Has there been any kind of saltiness from anyone after the game? Come on, Kath. I know you've got the receipts.
I think we were just talking shit in the chat in general, but I don't know. I don't think anything like lasted, So that's disappointing.
No one remembers. How can you have beef if you don't remember what happened?
I mean, maybe if there'd been a full season, there would have been. But I mean, everything was filmed, so I don't know. I guess next week's podcast they'll have to talk about whether they still have the rest of the footage. But
it's the confessionals in the archives, and the beef will happen now, like as they get uncovered.
Yeah.
Like we've been friends all this time, and then I find out you said this 5 years ago.
I'm just saying, I remember every single person who's ever voted me out in a Pratty or Woofy mini. So if you think I'm not holding that grudge 3-4 years later, bitches, I am. Kyle and Kath, less so.
I actually thought, like, with my vote out, okay, beef, I straight away, like, I felt so bad with Kevin, because like we get voted out together and he comes to me and he's like, dude, what happened? And I was like, I voted for you, I'm sorry.
It was the subway.
Yeah, and because and I thought maybe he'd voted for me, but he didn't. But I did think that, by crunching the numbers, I was like, right, well, I heard it was my alliance turning on me. Kevin's voted out. He's got no reason to lie to me now. Says he's stuck with our plan, which was Nathaniel. Maybe I should have done that too. So I think it must be Toby and Charlotte. They're the two votes against me. And like at the final tribal council, like I was rooting for Alicia. I wanted to vote for Alicia. And like my questioning was really trying to like throw her a bone and get something from her that's like, yeah, that's why I'm going to give you my vote. And, her and I had like an interesting relationship sort of like in the merge. So it's like, this is exciting if I can,
It's the complete
give her
opposite
that
of my
vote.
question at Final Tribal.
Right.
The
Yeah.
nephew.
And, so ultimately I heard Toby's answers and I was like, this guy promised me, and then he's one of the 2 votes that got me out, but he's done such a good job, I'm going to vote for him. But as it turns out, he didn't vote against me. It
Oh
was
my god.
Charlotte and Nathaniel. And it was
Snakes.
Toby had voted for Ian. So I was feeling a bit hurt by Toby, but it turned out he didn't cross me at that point.
But
I'm sure he put
somehow...
my name out the previous times, but he didn't put my name down.
So is that how he managed to secure? Yeah, talk to me about your perceptions of the final 3 then. So Kyle, you were kind of rooting for Alicia, but Toby won you over with his speech. What about Nathaniel?
Yeah. Nathaniel for me, like...
Oh, stop! CKF off! I'm asking the questions. We're getting to that. Stop being a control freak. Stay in your lane. Kyle, back to Nathaniel.
Yeah, for me, Nathaniel was my biggest mistake in the game. Like, he was the loose end that I could never cut. I didn't have a working relationship with him. He was kind of just someone that Toby would refer to of like, oh yeah, I could bring Nathaniel into this. But he and I never had anything going on, didn't have conversations. And so seeing him there at the end, like, I wasn't really privy to what he had been doing. I didn't have much of a game with him. And adding to that, Toby explaining that Nathaniel was sort of his secret in the pocket guy. And I was like, this makes so much sense as to why this has worked for Toby, that Nathaniel was a tool in Toby's game. So for me, like, Nathaniel wasn't, I wasn't considering a vote for Nathaniel.
Okay, that's great. And Kath, you ruined Toby's perfect game. So how are you feeling about the final 3?
So, to be honest, when it comes to Alicia, I kind of got the vibe that most people, I guess maybe not Kyle, kind of assume that she was just along for the ride, as like, oh, no one could possibly vote for her to win. She's screwed up so much, like not knowing how immunity works, not knowing what an idol is. Actually, the final tribal question that I gave was just like aiming at Alicia, being like, why would anyone want to vote for you after like these mistakes that you've made? So I think that's why it was cut, because I think it was like just like a little bit too on the nose. I can't remember.
Best. Alicia, why are you so annoying?
Just like, I was just like really annoyed at her because I was like, oh my god, Kyle's out and I have like no fucking alliance or anything. So if you were wondering what my question was, that was that. Yeah, so Alicia was immediately like, oh, there's no way I'm voting. So I remember Rosemary and Liz giggling in the background. I knew it was from me. I have a bit of a reputation for being blunt. Anyway, so yeah, I wasn't considering voting for Alicia at all. I was like, oh, she's clearly only there because she's not gonna win. And then when it comes to Toby, Toby said this in his podcast that we didn't really interact during the game, but I did talk to Nathaniel a few times, and Nathaniel like convinced me to, honestly, probably just because like I'm quite gullible, and was more so back then when I was 20 years old. But so Nathaniel got me to vote for someone, and like influenced how I was voting and stuff. But with Toby, like, yeah, we spoke for a minute or two at the very start when we were forming our first alliance. And then I think maybe post-merge or something, I tried to talk to him again, and I just remember there was a sense of distrust, but I can't remember if I didn't trust him or if he seemed like he didn't trust me. I just remember the feeling of distrust, but I can't remember which direction it was. And I was like, okay, I don't think anything's going to come of this. Like, I don't know what to make of what he's saying to me. Yeah, I think it was around the time of the toilet break as well.
You were immune. An empty bladder meant you were immune to the Toby charm. It was your superpower.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, so Toby and I just like didn't really interact during the game. So I was like, oh, why would I vote for him? Yeah. I voted for Nathaniel. That's the reason. And yeah, I think Toby figured that out as well. I was like, oh, wow, everyone else voted for Toby. And then everyone started being like, oh my God, who ruined it?
So there's someone who really stood out to me for their on-screen charisma and just a little bit sexy, if we're being frank, was Zaddy Ian. Where did Liz find Ian? What was going on with that man? Because he didn't really seem to fit into the storyline as much as was covered in that 4 minutes. But he seemed he played an idol randomly on Charlotte and seemed profoundly pissed off when he was booted. Kyle, who was Ian?
Yeah, I mean, I love a wildcard character like that, where you just can't really trace what they were thinking, why they're zigging and zagging, and like mentioned before, like with the swap, that our messy tribal was potentially an in on our swapped tribe. Kath and I were there with Keegan, Nicole, and Ian. And so Ian was the one that Keegan responded with, he hasn't voted with us. Like, he's just been voting however he wants. So me and Nicole will team up with you two to take out Ian if we go to tribal. So it's like, great. Rando Ian is going to be my saving grace here if we have to go to tribal council. And when Keegan cast that one vote against me at the final 10 vote, he told me, oh, Ian. And I was like, oh, you're so right. It would be Rando Ian, just casting another Rando vote.
Ian!
Ian! It was obviously him again. Yeah, which like led me to have such distrust in Ian, like at that pivotal final 8 vote. And why, like when Liz announces that there's going to be this twist of the 2 highest number of votes, and it's like, okay, I was hoping we were going to have Ian here, but why would I think we've got Ian? And so my best chance is like, I know I've got Kath, I know I've got Alicia. 3. And like, bloody Ian votes with us.
Oh, we stand a king.
Goodness me.
Kath,
And like, as for the idol, can't say I wasn't in the game at that point, but he continued being Ian.
Kath has the tea though on the idol play.
I was going to say Ian and Charlotte, I would have known each other before the game. So that probably, if Ian was, with Ian being so wild, it's probably just going like, oh, I know this person, I want to help them or something. I don't know. I imagine he probably didn't know much about how to play Survivor either, because I think a lot of the people didn't, because it was just like whoever Liz could find for the first season. Yeah, but so I imagine that played into that.
Charlotte's now married to Ian's son. Am I correct?
I think so. I probably should have done a little Facebook stalk or something before I came on here.
Because I think that idol could have been what sealed the deal. I think that was a super father-in-law move.
Right. It's like the blessing.
Yeah. And I love that. Okay. So
And then she voted him out the next round.
Yeah.
Thank you for your blessing. Bye-bye.
She heard rumors that Ian was pushing for a prenup and she wasn't having any of it. All right. Well, I need your advice. So the next week, we're going to be announcing the winners of some of the awards for this season. And the most important award, in my opinion, is the Bromelo Medal for ORCA of the season. Apex Predator ORCA. Bromelo Medal, because the first ever winner of this is Ethan from Sydney Survivor 1. But there are 3 key criteria for the ORCA. And I was thinking I was going to vote for for Kevin. But now you've got me rethinking it. So let me tell you what the criteria are. And I'd love to hear who you think that I should put forward for this award. So criteria number 1, propensity for narcissism. This person has to be the kind who would refer to themselves in a confessional as an apex predator. And so, for example, say someone goes, "Oh, they're so hot," to a group. This person immediately assumes that you're talking about them. Okay. Other orcas include myself and CK. So their propensity for narcissism is so strong, they actually think that this award is flattering. Number 2, strong arming strategy. This person always knows best, and they're not afraid to tell you. They're not asking you to go along with the vote. They are telling you what the plan is. And number 3, loud and proud. Okay. They are taking up a lot of space verbally, and they've almost certainly rubbed Kath the wrong way within the first hour and a half of the game. So I'd love to know. Liz thinks that Kevin's a pretty good pick for this. But I would love to know if either of you have any suggestions for our ORCA prize for Apex Predator this season.
I don't know. Rosemary was talking pretty big.
Good rogue suggestion.
Got out a bit earlier than other people, so...
I did hear from Toby's interview. She was strong arming some strategy. So I like that. Rosemary is a contender. Kyle, any suggestions?
Yeah, I feel like Keegan has a lot of ORCA potential. And I think there was elements of it in this game, but perhaps he just didn't make it far enough to like let the true ORCA out, and maybe wasn't in the position. So yeah, given that criteria, like it probably is more of a Kevin descriptor for this particular game.
Keegan has got to be a shoe-in for the ORCA award on Backyard. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But okay, I love that. Thanks for your input, team. So we're getting close to the hour now. It's that we both played such a long game, 12 hours. We saw so little of it. What have we missed? What have we not talked about? Kyle, you've got notes. What have we not covered that we wanted to share today?
I have notes as well. I need to bloody read through them again.
Yeah, Kath, you start rereading your screenshots.
What have we missed? Look, even though this game was so quickfire, it stuck with me for so long afterwards, for so long. I called Brian the next day, Brian, my co-host of Backyard Survivor, and at the time, co-host of the Survivor podcast. And I couldn't just tell him where I placed. That wouldn't do it. I was like, okay, Brian, so, all right, so I get there. I don't see anyone else. I sit on a park bench. He gets the play-by-play, every vote, giving a description of every person, where their votes are. I just had to get out, relive this experience, and have somebody like just acknowledge what I'd been through.
Oh, this is why we simp for Brian.
Yeah, he has to listen to me go way into the weeds, beyond the weeds.
Oh,
yeah, of this Survivor game. Yeah, and I mean that pivotal final 8 vote, crunching numbers. And like, I remember being eliminated, immediately pulled away by Rosemary to get this exit confessional. And I'm like, did I just pull a Tyson? Did I get myself voted out? Like, should I have voted Nathaniel? How could I have gotten out of this? It just like rattled my brain of like, how could I have crunched those numbers to survive
As
that vote?
Barbie said, Kyle, math is hard.
Math is so hard.
Math is hard.
That's it.
Kath, did you have any tea you wanted to spill for us?
No, I think I've covered everything, but I feel like yeah, I did have one note that I love the iconic like Liz putting out the torch with her hand.
I thought it was quite well edited. I thought we had iconic use of stock footage. I also really loved the kind of moody shots of Liz walking by the lake. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think yeah, so like I guess Connick will get into this a bit more later, but yeah, no, because Connick was well known at our high school for being like the video editing whiz. So yeah, and like he was in mine and Liz's friend group. So yeah, I think Connick sort of like set the stage for how Melbourne Survivor was going to be edited going forward. Yeah, so he's always been like really good at that stuff. So yeah, that's why it was all really good.
And CK wants to know, what was your better experience, this or Backyard 3? I mean, spicy because Kyle's sitting right here.
Melbourne Survivor season 1 began my traumatization fan survival world. Backyard season 3 really sealed the deal, and I was like, I'm never gonna go on Survivor again. But you know what? I think I've done some healing in the past few years. I think I might be ready to play again, actually. But
go full Keegan, third LRG.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely didn't really know what was going on in Melbourne Survivor that much because I didn't know the game very well. And for Backyard, I feel like I felt a bit like a main character because I sort of spiced up the game a little bit. I got to do my little like, swipe the idol, try and make sure no one sees me and that sort of thing. That was fun. I was like, thought I was going to have a heart attack. My heart was beating so fast. I was like,
I love that.
Stupid
and
thing.
Kyle, you're still super involved, obviously, hosting Backyard, absolutely killing it. I expect we will see some of those seasons right up the top of the charts. Would you play again?
I would play again, and I would be interested to see myself on camera giving confessionals, playing out a full game, because it's hard to fully reflect on the game that I played for myself, because from Melbourne Survivor, really all we see is my shocked face of like, I've lost, and that's what I have to reflect on. So yeah, I would love to play another game.
We needed you here today because that face really stood out.
Oh, it's just the excitement of like, I'm getting an idol played on me. Oh, that is not going to be an idol.
Yeah, when it came out, we were all just, I think we just all like inhaled at the same time. We were like,
yeah. And just this like little glimmer of hope seeing it. I'm like, please be an idol. We don't know what idols look like.
Yeah, in the chat, I'm pretty sure I said, what the fuck, quite loudly. When I don't remember that anymore, but that's what I wrote in the chat, apparently. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was just someone's trash. Some child had lost a plush toy. Alicia picked it up as an idol. If only.
If only.
What could have been.
What could have been. Absolutely. Well, thank you both. This was the necessary 4th hour covering. And you know what? 4 hours just isn't enough content for the 25-minute episode of Melbourne Survivor season 1. So tune in again next week, everyone, to watch CK break it down with Liz and Connick and award the prizes for the MVP, who we want to see back, ORCA, etc., etc. Do we really need this? I would argue no, please God, no. But we will be doing a full 5 hours. So come back, everybody, next week and let's do it all again. Kath, Kyle, thank you so much.
Thank you, Annabelle.
Bye.
My bedtime alarm. Good night.
Good night. CK, make this end.